I am so pleased to be able to send 40th anniversary greetings to Dr. Larry Moyer and all the great folks at EvanTell. They have been such a blessing in my life. I was first introduced to EvanTell about 4 years ago when I was directing the pro-life ministry for a Christian organization in Atlanta. As National Pro-Life Consultant, I helped educate churches about pro-life issues and connect them with their local pregnancy centers and help start new centers for churches that didn't have one in their area. As much as I enjoyed working with and helping to train these wonderful people, I was frustrated because most of them were just like me when I first started sharing the gospel. For most of my Christian life, I felt guilty that I wasn't regularly sharing my faith, as I knew God asked me to do, and yet my fear of how to do it kept me from being obedient. I was afraid that I would be rejected or that I would say the wrong thing and the person would walk away. How could I train the centers here to share the gospel when I was so uncomfortable sharing it myself? And then one day someone gave me a brochure from EvanTell, and I read about a program that they had recently started called Save the Mother, Save Her Child. The exciting part was that it was written specifically for pregnancy resource centers. I couldn't wait to hear more about it, and I called them that same day. They sent me free materials and arranged for me to participate in a local training in the Atlanta area. I was overwhelmed. This was exactly what I'd been looking for, and as soon as possible, I became a certified trainer so that I could train pregnancy centers and volunteers to how to share their faith. It was so rewarding to see people who were just like me, uncomfortable sharing their faith, suddenly become excited about it. And you know what? The same thing happened to me that happened to those pregnancy center volunteers and staff. Suddenly I found that sharing Christ with others wasn't nearly as difficult as Satan had been telling me it was. Now I always carry some of these little brochures in my purse called May I Ask You a Question, and look for opportunities to get into a conversation with someone so that I can share the gospel with them. They don't always respond positively, but that's okay. The good news of Christ has been shared with them, and now the Holy Spirit can recall to them in their minds what they heard. I've also found on days I remember to ask God to specifically give me opportunities to share the gospel with someone. He brings that to my mind as I get into a conversation. For instance, I was getting a manicure the other day when God reminded me that this woman was going to be holding my hands for the next hour. And what better way to spend time than to tell about God's love. I found that she followed a different religion, but she seemed very interested and listened carefully as I talked to her. In fact, I asked her a couple of times during the presentation for permission to continue, and she was very graceful in doing that. I finally took one of the May I Ask You a Question brochure, and as best I could with my hand in a bowl of water, I shared Christ. When I finished, in broken English, she asked, "May I have that?" Of course she could have it. I left it with her and promised the next time I come, which will be sooner than I had planned, that I will answer any questions that she might have. And during that time, I'll be praying for the Holy Spirit to help her understand what she is reading and to prepare her and me for our next conversation. Sharing the gospel is not nearly as difficult or frightening as the enemy would make us believe. We take the first step, and God takes over from there. Happy birthday, EvanTell. What a legacy you have created these last 40 years. I can only imagine what the next 40 will be like.